Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the podcast. Appreciate you listening. Sorry this is a day late. I was too busy celebrating the Lions winning their first playoff win in like 30 years. So that's not really the reason why, but that's my excuse. It's been a cool week if you're a Detroit sports fan. If you're listening and you like, this is the thing about the Lions winning their first playoff game in 30 years is like no one can really be that mad about it, because it's not a team you're jealous of. Not for the last 30 plus years, probably not ever, really. No one's ever been like, man, I wish those Lions fans would just shut the hell up, Like it's not like that. We don't have that history. So it's kind of fun having a nice year. If you're a sports fan at all, you'll know that like right now, the only team in Detroit that's worth watching is the Lions. Really, the Red Wings are okay, but the Lions in particular are like, what? What is happening? This is why I'm worried about the rest of the year. I don't just mean the election or whatever. I mean, whatever whatever it is. I feel like hell is frozen over in some ways, right? Like I can't stop thinking about, man, what are we gonna lose? What it seems like everything's going too good. Something bad has to happen here. You know what I mean? But it is exciting if having grown up a Detroit sports fan, like I'm very excited about it. It's fun being in Chicago for all this too, because it's kind of the same way. Everyone here is like, we're rooting for the Lions, which I'm like, that's kind of cool. I've been lucky to go to a couple games this year, and I always think it's funny because I think I've talked about this before, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I'm like a casual sports fan, like I don't get too into it. Like, let's say the Lions lost, which, who knows what's going to happen, honestly. I could see them winning, but, we could all see them losing. There's like a way for everything to happen. So we'll see what happens. It's just fun while we got it. But every sports team has like that one guy who paints his face, sometimes their entire body, and they show up in full costume. I mean, I saw a few of them at the Lions game I went to, and it blows my mind because I'm like, okay, you left the house looking like that? It's cool to wear at the game. Like when you're at the stadium and you're in, you're the guy in the full lion suit and it's all blue and you look like you look like a lion. But it makes sense there. But like when you're walking out to the car and your neighbor sees you, it's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to the game. Oh, you don't say. Like I just can't imagine the amount that kind of effort. I mean, I respect it in some ways, but I can't really. I could never do it. That's not me. Okay, like I like the team. I like going to the games. I like supporting the team, but it's not gonna ruin my week. Okay, I can't do that anymore. Okay, there's there's too much about reality that bums me out. That I'm like, what am I gonna do? Let this sports team ruin my week on top of everything else that I have to deal with all week? And yeah, dressing up like that, it's fun. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. Like like on some levels, I think it'd be fun to like know that person. Thankfully, I don't know anybody that does that. But when they show up shirtless to the game and stuff like that, shirtless is one thing, I guess, and you paint your chest. I don't know. Someone still had to help you with it, which I think is funny. Like, what is it? Your wife or your best friend? Regardless, that's an awkward conversation. Honey, can you paint my chest? Can you put a big D on my chest, please? I just can't imagine a world where I'm out with my friends before the game and I'm like, "Oh, guys, I brought the paint. Can you please help me?" And so let's say the game works out like in the Lions' favor last week. If you're listening to this the day it came out, the last weekend, it worked out in your favor. If you wore that costume, you were the belle of the ball. You were the person to talk to. Everyone's loving you. Everyone's high fiving you. And then what if they lose though? If they lose, you got to drive home and that stuff. You got to wear full costume, just sad, crying, makeup running. Like you don't want to be that guy. No, you don't want to, because that's who they're looking for in the stadium. That you're the next meme. There's already that kid that was crying at the Lions game, and like after they won. I guess I'd rather be known for this, but kid's crying, and he's a kid. He's in his 30s, but he's like bawling, and he's like, and he's just happy, like they won, and I'm like, okay, I mean, it seems a little much, but regardless, it's like I get it, I understand where the kid's coming from, because And then it turns out he's on the local news in Detroit, and it turns out he went to every game with his dad. It had this whole story. His dad had season tickets for 30 years. One day it's like your typical, like, one day, son, the Lions are going to go to the playoffs. And then finds out, at least you find out in the news story, that his dad died. And now this kid's at the game. And, it's this whole touching story. I get that. Now imagine if that guy was in full paint, blue faced, tears, even though they're happy tears, it's still makeup running. And then you're the meme. You're the meme. Like, everybody's talking about you. You don't want to be that guy. Once you dress up like that, everyone sees you. The camera operators are looking for that guy. So don't be that guy. But on some levels, you should be that guy if you're that type of person, I think, because it does add a little fun to the game. Like I said, as long as I'm not sitting with you, or I don't have to share a car home with you, or if I'm not sitting behind you with a whole damn lion costume, and then every time something good happens, they hold their kid up. They did this thing at the Lions game, which I think it's kind of a fun. You got to get creative with the in stadium, promotional whatever, the jumbotron stuff in between commercials. But if you have your kid at the game, they have you hold them up like you're in the Lion King, and everyone gets a kick out of it. We all have a laugh. It's great. I tell you what, though, somehow I will go to the Super Bowl if the Lions make it. I have to be there, right? We'll see if that happens. But if they make it, I guess don't expect an episode that week. By the way, it's in Vegas this year, which could it be any more perfect, right? With all this, so I started sports betting on sports, which is funny. It's not like a thing you just start. You get roped into it somehow, right? One of your friends is like, "Hey, I got a promo code. You want to try it?" And then you try it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll deposit $50, and I'll watch that $50 go away, and then for 3 months I'll have this stupid app that it'll keep nudging me to go again. Then I go again, and this is the truth. I have not won one bet so far. I've only bet on football. By the way, I have not won one bet, and I'm not doing crazy risky bets either. I'm doing the most down the middle. This is totally realistic. I'm not hoping for a miracle, like $5, maybe $10 bets, and nothing. Last weekend, I deposited $100. I was like, you know what? The Lions are in the playoffs. I'm gonna treat myself, right? I'm gonna spend $100. And we're gonna gamble. This will be fun. Well, I had a show. This is the other thing. I had the show during the Lions game, right? So I watched the first half at my house, and I'm like, okay, I got all these bets placed. I go do my show. The Lions win the game while I'm on stage, and then I get off stage, and I'm like, that's right. I forgot about all these bets that I made. I made $10 bets. Like I said, all of them completely reasonable, and they paid out pretty good too, right? And I'm like, if two of these hit, I'm gonna make a couple $100. This will be fun, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not going down the it's not it's a slippery slope, but I haven't slipped yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not I can dipping a toe in, but I totally understand how people lose their lives and their entire family and house over this stuff. It's exhilarating. Now, I get off stage, I remember that I have these bets, and so I log in and I'm like, man, I just hope one of these hit. That'd be so fun. That's the only thing that'll make this whole night even better. I mean, I got to do stand up. The Lions won their first playoff game in 30 years, and I won $400. And then I log in, nothing, not a dollar. I mean, what a complete waste, right? But hey, I gave it a shot, and I said I'm never doing it again. I'm logging out, and then I bet you I'll probably do it again this week. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So good luck to the Lions this weekend. It'll be fun to watch that. Now, I made a list of topics I wanted to get to today, and this show. It is what it is. I spew my thoughts. Sometimes there's notes. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's a topical subject. Sometimes it's not. But I made a list this time because I'm trying to get more organized. Now, my notes here, which you can hear. Uh, Did you hear that? This is top-notch production value right here. That's that's uh that's about 10 sheets of paper. Don't worry, I have one sheet. We'll make this quick. Topic 1, lions, covered it. Number 2, it's cold out. Holy hell. Do you guys live in the Midwest? I would say 90% of my listeners are here in the cold weather, and I think it's funny because Christmas was like 40 some degrees, right? And you're like, wow, that's too bad about Earth dying. That's a bummer. Kind of put a damper on the holidays, right? All I can think about is how the Earth is dying. And cut to a month later, it's -5 degrees, and I'm like, this is stupid. I thought the Earth was dying, and sure, I mean, I'm no scientist. It's a stupid podcast, but I'm sure it's somehow linked to it. These extreme temperature changes, but it's funny how all of a sudden you're kind of okay with climate change once you have a warm holiday. I'm like, what are we going back to this -degree weather for? Now it's going to be cold. Son of a bitch, this was the silver lining for me for climate change. You can't really change it much. Now we're kind of point of no return, right? That's what everybody tells me. I'm not saying we should double down on some of the things we're doing, but I am saying, hey, I mean, if we're gonna live right at, I guess, the last possible chance of having a good time, I'm gonna enjoy this warm winter. You know what sucks about this cold is because it's like negative. It's in the negatives and it's freezing, and I actually don't hate it that much. It doesn't bother me really, but my dog is 160 pounds, and he is paws. I mean, I'm not kidding. Size of a grown man. My hands, right? The size of my hands, pretty close. My entire palm, and in this weather, in these extreme colds, the guy gets frostbite like immediately, right? So I mean, the first day I've been like taking him out, and like sometimes the sidewalk salt will get to him, and I mean immediately. We're out there for 10 seconds. He's like prancing because it's burning. I'm assuming it's burning him. I don't know what's happening, but I feel bad for the guy, right? So I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. So we bought some boots for him, and I am now, in order to take this dog outside, and I would imagine, I don't have children, but if you have children, I would imagine this is a similar problem you're having, is trying to convince them to put on their shoes when they have to leave the house. Now, in my case, it's my dog, and I have to do everything. I have to Velcro these boots onto him. All of this for 2 minutes of outside, right? Because it's way too cold. I'm like, we're getting back inside. Even my dog's like, let's get out of here, or let's get in there. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm done. I can't do this. Can't do this right now. It's way too cold. So now it adds an extra 5 minutes of my time I'm wrestling with this dog who hates wearing his boots, by the way. The whole time he's trying to bite him off. It's the funniest thing ever. I just know one of these days my neighbor's going to be in the hallway and he's going to see me wrestling with my grown ass dog, this 160 pound. It's basically like fighting a grown man, okay? Trying to get these boots on and off of him. And this is what cracks me up. People say it's not, people who get dogs say it's like having kids, or like, we'll find out if we should have kids. We'll get a dog together. And people say it's not a fair comparison, but I tell you what, I'd argue that it's probably close, at least in the moments of trying to get them to put their shoes on. All right, now getting back to my notes, I have another note here. Did you guys hear about the McDonald's double Big Mac? What are we doing? What is happening? Okay, like sometimes I hear stories like this, and I'm like, wow, they're just trying to go viral, and then I find out it had been an item in the past. Someone did that. Also, you know what frustrates me about any fast food company like this, particularly McDonald's, one of the biggest ever, right? Like when you hear the word fast food, you think of McDonald's, right? It doesn't get more iconic and famous and I guess successful as that. But someone thought of this, and that person makes 10 times the amount of money I do every year. Guaranteed. This guy was like, hey, why don't we do a double Big Mac? And they're like, we'll do you one better. We've already done this before. We can just dust off the old ads and we'll be fine. Like sometimes I think when I hear things like this, I'm like, do we really need that? And the thing is, we'll buy it. I might buy it just for the bit. Okay, I might do it just to see what it's like, but I cannot believe enough people buy this thing. Are you kidding me? A double Big Mac? Here's what's on it. A normal Big Mac, right? It's two patties. Now there's two patties on the top half and the bottom half. Okay, who needs that? Really? I mean, even if you're fat, I mean, I've been huge. I am huge. And I am as addicted to food as anybody, right? Like I mean, I eat like an idiot. And this doesn't even sound appealing to me. Like at this point cuz it's not like better, right? It's just two extra patties. Oh, and you can also get it with bacon. Why not? You know what? Just kill us. And why don't you? Okay? Like it's items like this that make me feel bad for Panera for taking all the heat for the lemonade, the caffeinated lemonade. They took all that crap for serving something so crazy. Yet I think this is worse somehow. I honestly think that McDonald's just does this to just I mean, look, everybody's talking about it. Well, not everybody. Is everybody? I am. Am I the only I can't be the only one that noticed, right? I mean, I've seen tweets about it, right? In fact, I threw out a good joke. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media, but I like to post jokes, and here's the one I did about the double Big Mac. Okay, you ready? I'll read it right now. This is this is my audition for any sort of late night writing job. McDonald's is bringing back the double Big Mac for a limited time. Not to be outdone, Arby's has announced that they will run you over with a truck full of roast beef. Imagine any late night host reading that. Come on, that's gold. Okay? You can have it. You know what's funny is I'm reading this tweet and I'm going through my Twitter feed right now and I forgot another thought about these sports betting apps, which I think is funny, is they if you spend too much time on them or if you log in too much or based on your activity, you'll receive a pop-up notice that says, it says reality check and it says, do you need, basically, do you need help? Should you call someone? What are you doing? Make sure you're, if you don't spend money if you can't. You know what I mean? Like it's and I believe that has to do with the laws because, you can bet on your phone now with all these apps, but I think it's so funny because this is the only app that does that, right? Imagine if Tinder, all your dating apps did this. Like, hey, you swiped a lot and got no matches. Maybe you should go outside or something. Or what if DoorDash did this? Like, hey, reality check. It's 2 in the morning. I don't think you need 24 wings right now. Okay, you're probably gonna be worse off for this. Don't do it. Wouldn't that be nice? Just a little something to keep you from making some questionable choices, right? Now, thanks again for not being too upset about the late episode. It won't happen a lot, I promise. I know I'm hitting a groove here with the new episodes. A few updates I want to give you too. I got plenty of shows coming up. Join my email list. I'll send you ticket links whenever I'm performing near you. Just name, email, and zip code. You'll see in the link to the show description. Click on that. Give me your information, and I will only email you. For I won't be spamming you. Is what I'm trying to say. It's just for comedy related stuff. Whatever I'm up to. I won't use it a lot, but whenever I'm in town, you'll know about it. I got a bunch of stuff coming up, so follow me on social media at Nate Comedy. Something I'm very excited about, the Traverse City Comedy Festival in its second year this first week of February. If you are at all in Michigan or the Midwest, it's worth a trip up there, okay? Winter in northern Michigan, it can be brutal, okay? It can be cold, it can be snowy, icy, all that stuff, but the comedy festival is great because everything's indoors, right? It's a good reason to go up there, and you can make a whole trip out of it, right? There's plenty of stuff to do up there in the off season. Summer obviously is the time to go up north in northern Michigan, but in the winter, it's still great, especially when there's a comedy festival. I went last year. It was probably the most fun I've had in years. That Friday, I'll be headlining the Playhouse Theater, I think it is, something like that. It's all the information's on their website, so check them out, TraverseCityComedyFestival.com. And I'll see you up there. Also, join the email list, like I said, and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review, a rating. That'd be fantastic. Tell your friends about it. Share it if you feel so inclined. And I appreciate you listening. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week with another brand new episode.